Welcome to Divine Earth School, the place where high achievers and spiritual seekers come to embody, express, and explore their divinity, where I talk all things health, wellness, life, business, and spirituality. So let's dive in. Hello, 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 Mosaic Souls. Hey, Mosaic Souls, this is Rachael Alexander, artist and Mosaic Soul mentor, aka spiritual teacher and transformational life, wellness, and business coach with flair. And today I wanted to share a Soul Nugget Sunday. So, welcome back to a Soul Nugget Sunday. And today's topic, as per guidance of my higher self and divine team, is you have the power of choice. You have the power to choose. And this was definitely a very fun topic in the sense of self-empowerment, I guess you can say. And these Soul Nugget Sundays are designed to sort of just give you a nugget from, my divine team, from my higher self, from my soul to yours, in hopes that it can really help you along your life and creating more of a divine life, right? Where you are no longer, and when I talk about divine, I just basically mean you're living more of your divine true self while in human form, right? So I don't necessarily mean divining as in luxury, although that can be an expression of your divinity. It's more so about divine is about embodying your divinity while here in human form. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hello, free spirit. Feel free to say hi if you're joining me live in the chat. So let's dive into this topic about you have the power to choose, or the power of choice, right? You know me, oftentimes I'll just pause in silence just for clarity as I'm sort of tuning into my higher self, my divine team. So if I'm pausing, that's what's going on. But yeah, so many times we are, flustered. And I talked about this in last Soul Nugget Sunday. We're flustered with our lives, or we're constantly sort of fragmenting our energy from one moment to the next. And we are sort of frazzled in the way that we approach our lives, kind of vacillating or oscillating between this idea or misperception that there's a wrong way and a right way to live your life, right? And I love this very much. I'm giving confirmation. I'm flushed with joy and love right now. But what happens when you start to step more fully into your divinity, you recognize that you have the power to choose, right? You have the power to choose how you lead your life from moment to moment, how you lead your life from day to day. And the power of choice is your birthright, right? You can choose to believe whatever belief system resonates with you. You can choose to resonate, well, not choose to resonate. Resonance really just comes from the soul, right? But you can choose to follow, rather, a specific belief system or pathway in whatever way resonates with you, right? There is no wrong or right path per se on the spiritual path. Every person's path is unique. That's why we came here on the planet, to have our own unique individuated expressions of our divinity while here in human form. So when I say you have the power to choose, I'm saying you have the power to choose not only the belief system that your life is set upon, right? But you also have the power to choose in each and every moment how you want to feel, and the meaning and the value that you are giving each life event and life situation, right? So how I really want to just talk about this is just when you're stepping more fully into your divinity, when you're stepping more fully as the divine being that you are, love, light, joy, fulfillment, expression, peace are your natural states of being, right? You are naturally love. You are naturally joy. You are naturally peace. The things that we're striving to achieve, right? The things that we're striving to get more of, you are naturally abundance. These are your natural states of being, right? We only perceive or receive or experience lack of the things that we desire because we're focusing, or we're choosing, unconsciously most of the time, we're choosing to to lead our lives from misperceptions or belief systems that don't really support who we are in the world, right? So I'm trying to see if I can come up with an example. So as a love and light being that you are, right? In each and every moment, right? We're traversing this human journey because we decided to incarnate on the planet. We wanted to incarnate on the planet to have this human journey for whatever reasons we've come, right? Each of our souls have come for different reasons, to explore different themes, to explore different pathways, right? And when you're traversing this human experience, it's easy to get caught up into the humaning of it all, right? You go to work, or you do your business, or you come home, you make dinner for the children, or you make dinner for yourself, or you spend time with your partner, or you spend time with your girlfriends or your guy friends or whatever, right? And this sort of humaning journey over and over. And then at times, this really is a message for when you're feeling overwhelmed, or when you're feeling fragmented, or when you're feeling disconnected from who and what you truly are. This message is to help you reconnect to that you truly are, right? And so in reconnection to who and what you truly are, feel free to say hi if you're joining me live in the chat. It's understanding that the power of how you experience your life from moment to moment is in your hands, right? So everything that you're experiencing is a reflection of your inner world, right? So this outer experience that you're experiencing is mirroring back to you your inner world. And so the choice comes in to where you start to shift and change your internal dialogue. You're shifting and changing your internal state of being, right? Your emotional state of being from moment to moment. You're shifting and changing how you're showing up in the world, your behaviors, your actions, your habits, right? Those are sort of secondary. I feel like when you shift your state of consciousness and your state of being, your emotional state of being, your thought processes, and just shifting your focus from being outward focused to inward focused in a way that your level of consciousness is risen, right? You start to experience life to be more easy, more joyous, more flowing, right? Because now the universe is just reflecting back to you your own energy. And if on a day-to-day basis or moment-to-moment basis, you're experiencing or you're moving from this fragmented, frantic type of energy, right? The universe is just going to reflect that back to you in the form of fragmented or frantic experiences, right? Where there's always something bad going on, and quote unquote bad, there's nothing really bad going on the planet, but there's always some, fire that you have to put out in your life, right? Because internally, you're feeling like life is always, this kind of energy where you're just frantic and this kind of, nervous or fearful type energy, or whatever energy you're embodying is a choice, right? And that's something that a lot of times we're not taught, because we're not taught emotional intelligence. We're not taught that we can not necessarily control our emotions per se, but we can control our response to our emotions such that we can actually start to maneuver and shape. To a degree, you can actually control your emotions, but that's another topic for another day. But you can start to maneuver and shape and shift how you are, what state of being you're showing up in the world, which is your emotional state of being. And so you develop a level of emotional intelligence from moment to moment to moment, such that now the universe is reflecting back to you this higher state of consciousness because you're embodying that higher state of consciousness. I hope that makes sense. So when I talk about you have the power to choose, you have the power to choose how you feel from moment to moment to moment, in a way, by way of, right, when life events happen, right, naturally there are certain sort of knee-jerk reactions, right, knee-jerk responses that we have been conditioned to have. But if you can start to embody or to incorporate more silence and stillness, instead of having a knee-jerk reaction to a life event or circumstance, but pausing and being still even if anger arises or fear or judgment or whatever arises, you can have those emotions, right? And still not get caught up in the undercurrent of the power that they are, right? You can still become the silent witness to the emotions that are arising within you, to the thought process that are arising within you, such that when you become the silent witness, then you have now separated yourself from the emotions that are arising in your life, than from who and what you truly are. Because you're not just your emotions. You're not just a bundle of thoughts or a bundle of beliefs, right? You're a divine being having this human experience, and a part of that human experience are your thoughts, emotions, feelings, expectations, and things, right? So when you start to understand that you have this sort of bundle of things that are encompassed in your human experience, but you're not just a human, right? You're a divine soul having a human experience, right? We're not negating your human experience, but recognizing that your humanity isn't all that you are, right? So when you can understand that your humanity isn't all that you are, and you're actually more of the divine being, you're more of a spirit being playing this game of humanity, you can then create, not necessarily that you need to create a separation, but like sort of mentally at first, when you're just getting starting in your spirituality, when you're just getting started in, embodying more of your divinity, it's kind of helpful to mentally fragment yourself, mentally sort of separate yourself from your human journey, and recognizing the human emotions that might happen, or the conditioned responses that might happen within you, conditioned responses in the form of thoughts or beliefs or judgments, right? That kind of come up in the mind, like, oh, she shouldn't have done that, or I'm such an idiot, or what happened, or all those judgments or thoughts or processes, right? And then the emotions that are attached to it: guilt, shame, fear, feeling overwhelmed or frantic or frenzied, right? So you can then begin to start to separate yourself from this aspect of yourself, and then recognize that you are larger. There's a larger aspect of you that is at play always, right? And when you recognize that, then the power of choice starts to become more conscious rather than unconscious. So hopefully this makes sense. Let me know, if those of you who are watching, if this makes sense, that your choice, instead of your choice being a very unconscious choice where you're constantly making choices from an unconscious state of being, where you're making choices out of fear, where you're making choices out of guilt, shame, or, whatever, right? Okay, welcome to Sapio. Okay, good. Glad that this resonates. When you're making choices out of fear versus love, which we talked about in last Sunday's Soul Nugget, then you're no longer allowing, when you're making choices out of just sort of the unconscious state of being versus the conscious state of being, your state of being and your choices feel limited. They feel like, okay, well, it becomes like this contracted experience of choice making, right? Where you feel like you have no choices, right? You only have one or two options, right? Which the mind feels like the mind can only kind of conjure up one or two choices in your life, right? So let's say, let me give an example, right? Let's say that you have a job or whatever, and you really want to get another job, right? A higher paying job or something like that. Or you just want to make more money or whatever, right? So in that sense, right, I always approach my life from a very spiritual standpoint, because I know that everything on this planet is spiritual. So the way that I approach my life is from a very spiritual standpoint. So that's the way that I'm just going to be approaching these examples, right? So let's say you have this job, you want to get a better job or a more high paying, or just allow more money in. So the mind, in its limited sort of choice making or unconsciousness, from conditioned past conditioning, would say, okay, well, I have to find a job that pays me more, or I have to, basically it'll give you like one or two options: find a higher paying job, or find a better job that, where people treat me better, or, I have to create a side hustle where I can start bringing in extra money, right? The mind will give you like those two or three options, right? Which is totally fine. So I'm not negating that the mind has its place, logic has its place, right? But in your expanded state of awareness, right, there are literally millions of other possibilities that you can allow more abundance into your life, right? And so when we're approaching our lives from just a logical standpoint of view, or from this sort of limited, contracted, unconscious state of view, versus approaching your life vibrationally, what that would look like or feel like from a vibrational standpoint, instead of immediately going to your mind saying, okay, I want more money, which is totally fine desire to have, you can shift and be like, okay, what does it feel like? Who would I be if I had more money, right? And it's more of a vibrational standpoint, right? Where you're approaching your life from a vibrational standpoint. So instead of approaching my life from, okay, what's the logical, gotta write down my goals, gotta gotta hack it out, which is totally fine. That's one way of doing life. Another way of approaching life is, who do I need to become energetically to allow more into my life, right? And I've experienced this in so many different areas, beyond just, financial abundance, but just so many. Who do I need to be to attract the right partner? Who do I need to be to have more, health and well-being? Who do I need to be, blah, 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 right? So very much so, an energetic standpoint, you're approaching your life from this energetic standpoint of conscious, awakened choice making, right? Who am I? What version of me? Because from this standpoint, I feel like I'm talking in circles. From this standpoint is recognizing that your divinity, that you live in this vibrational universe, right? And if the universe is a mirror, right, and it's always constantly reflecting back to you what's going on inside, that also quantum physics, right, and just what we know about parallel realities, everything that has existed or will ever exist already exists in the here and now. So the version of you that is making more money, back to that example, already exists now, right? And so what we have a tendency to do is approach our lives from this very physical, hardcore, pure masculine energy, which is totally fine way of doing life. But I feel like when we let go of feeling that we have to like push and struggle and strain and start to approach our lives from a more just well-rounded energy of masculine and feminine energy, where we're approaching our lives from a vibrational standpoint, right? You're no longer asking, well, how can I? The how question starts to drop and go away, because you recognize that if you're already a divine being, what more do you need to do than to just shift to the version of you that is already abundant, right? Shift to the version of you that is already healed, right? Shift to the version of you, I'm giving other examples, shift to the version of you that already has the partner, right? Shift to the version of you that already has a beautiful family, right? Shift to the version of you that already has, the luxury car, or shift to the version of you that's already living in the house that you want to be living in, right? So, Exactly, Anarita, exactly. So going with the flow, that's exactly what it is. When you start to go with your soul's intention, right? These things that arise within you, your desires arise simply when a desire arises for me, right? To me, as my higher self and divine team have shared with me all the time, desire equals done, right? So when a pure soul desire arises, it means that it's already done vibrationally. It means that it's queued up, ready to be flowing into your life, right? So if it hasn't showed up yet, it means that internally you haven't gotten to the point where it's a knowing, right? Where, going back to the example of when I had that large ovarian cyst that made me look like I was 6 months pregnant, the year and a half of me having that cyst, it hadn't become a quite yet knowing within me that I was healed yet. But I was working vibrationally internally to that point where it's already done. So I kept saying, reiterating, relocking it into my subconscious, relocking it in to my state of being and awareness that, oh, this is done. I'm already healed. I don't need to worry about that, right? And when it became a knowing, then I was healed, right? So it's the same thing with any other thing in your life, right? Like when, you're wanting to create more money, or you're wanting to create a healthy relationship, or you're wanting to, find a career that you love, simply embodying the energy, being who and what that version of you already is the first step. And actions follow later, right? Actions arise out of joy. Actions arise out of following your heart. Actions arise out of love, because you're no longer frantically looking outside of yourself for an answer, right? You see what I'm saying? So your choice is within you. You have the power to choose how you feel from moment to moment, because that is your creative power, right? And all of that is the premise of everything that I just laid out, right? Recognizing that you're a divine being, your soul having this human experience. And then secondly, that the universe is always reflecting back to you what you're experiencing in the form of life experiences. So your internal world is reflected in your outer world, right? So that's the second premise. And then recognizing the third premise is that everything that you desire already exists vibrationally. And if it exists vibrationally, if we live in a vibrational universe, then it technically exists physically as well, because physical things, matter is also vibration. Matter is also energy, right? And it's just different dense forms of frequency of us tuning in to the energy of that which we desire, right? And so action starts to arise or starts to become secondary because you recognize that there are many hows, right? Back to the parallel realities premise, right? If you know, back to that example of you wanting to, allow more money in, but you only have like, let's say a certain salary at your existing job, right? The mind can only conjure up a few ways, but they're literally a heap of ways. Like think of like the mind as a cup of like, a cup of water, right? And the infinite possibilities of what's available to you is literally like the ocean, okay? Of what's literally available, the infinite hows upon which you can arrive at receiving more money or receiving more abundance or receiving whatever it is that you're desiring is literally like the ocean, and the mind is only like a cup of water, right? So the mind can literally only come up with a few ways in which you can allow more abundance in, whereas your higher self, your soul, the soul version of you is like, look, there's literally infinite ways that you can allow more money into your life, right? Or you can allow this healing to take place within your body, right? There's many ways, right? But we can only see the small cup, right? So stepping more fully into who and what you truly are is the power that you have, right? Your choice starts with recognizing that who are you, right? Who are you first of all? And then second of all, with this knowledge of knowing who you are, embodying it and starting to operate from this level of awareness, starting to operate from this level of consciousness, starting to operate from the divine true being that you truly are, rather than the sort of small fragmented, oh, I'm just a human, this is all that I have, I'm not powerful, so I must effort my way to success, or I must effort my way to healing, or I must effort my way to, a loving relationship, or I must effort my way to whatever it is that we're trying to achieve, right? So I hope this makes sense. I feel like I've been babbling for a while, but that was basically the soul nugget that I wanted to share with you guys, is that you have the power to choose for how you feel moment to moment. And those three premises that I share is literally like the basis of all the teaching that I ever do in all of Divine Earth School, right? You are a divine being having this human experience. You're predominantly soul spirit in human form. Secondly, because you are a divine being, you affect your outer world as a reflection of your inner world. That's just how it sort of works. Law of attraction, mirror principle, right? And thirdly, everything that you desire already exists in the here and now, right? So it's just a matter of shifting your perceptions, your energy, your energetic frequency, your state of consciousness to the vibrational sort of frequency of that which you desire, such that you allow it in whatever way it wants to show up, right? So those are sort of the three premises upon which I do a lot of my teachings, right? And that, my divine team and higher self always shares information. So your choice is you get to choose how you feel from moment to moment to moment. And the only way that choice becomes conscious versus unconscious is shifting your state of consciousness to the fact that you're a divine being having a human experience and all the things that I just shared, right? So I just wanted to share, I meant to share this in the beginning of the video, but I am doing not a sale, but a value add for those of you who are interested in joining I Am Divine Mastermind. Check out the first link in the description box below. It's a monthly membership sort of channeling where I channel my divine team for those of you who are looking for more peace, looking to connect more with your divinity, looking to receive messages. And then there's also, I'm going to be shifting to more actual weekly group coaching calls in this divine mastermind. So the bonus that I'm going to be adding in, I shared with you guys in a few of my last videos is the Divine Life Planner. So if that is something that you're interested in joining the mastermind, if you join before October, October 3rd, right? Was it 31st? I'll put it in the link below. I think it's either 3rd or 31st. If you join before then, I think October 31st, I think. If you join before then, you get that access to that Divine Life Planner or whatever. And also receiving sort of monthly channeling as well as weekly group coaching calls and a whole host of everything. So you can go to divineearthschool.com/I am divine to check that out. And yeah, I hope this video or this soul nugget has been helpful. And I'd love to know in the comments below, let me know what way have you been more conscious or unconscious of your day-to-day choices? Do you feel, here's a better question. Do you feel that you're conscious or unconscious of how you feel from moment to moment to moment in your life? Let me know in the chat below. Feel free to share. And as always, flow with what feels good and let go of what doesn't, because you are divine. You are a divine being, and your soul knows exactly what you've come to explore, experience, and traverse while on this planet. So remember, what you conceive is what you'll receive. What you expect is what you get, and however you feel is what will become real for you. So vibrate higher, and I will chat with you guys next time. Peace, love, and light.